You're listening to Driven, stories of resilience, initiative, and empathy, told from the personal points of view of students in IACT at the University of Dayton.
I feel like I need to change my story. Before, I was telling a narrative that was hiding who I am and where I've been, which means I was not only lying to the listener, but most importantly, I was lying to myself. I actually had to change my story more than once because I kept focusing on things outside of myself or trying to cover something up by telling a generic story about my journey with dyslexia. I started out thinking I needed to have a conversation with my brother surrounding our relationship and how it shaped me and my decisions. I've been with him since birth, so almost every experience I've had has been through the lens of us together. He has not only been a partner in my life, but a guide for me. Since he is older, he usually experiences things before I do, so in many ways, I will look up to him to see how I should operate in my own life. In a lot of ways, this was helpful to me. I was able to get a head start on many aspects of life by watching and learning from my brother. While this isn't inherently bad, it did become negative for me when I started to prescribe who he was to my own identity. It was like I spent so much time focusing on looking up to my brother, I lost sight of what's inside of myself. For a very long time, I didn't even notice it was happening because it started when I was so young. I was a very shy child, so I would struggle to talk to strangers or interact with people on my own. So to protect me, my brother would speak for me. Now, this helped me in a lot of ways because without him, I wouldn't have been seen by anybody. But in a way, I wasn't truly being seen anyway. Instead, I was hiding in his shadow. As I got older, I grew out of being shy, but I didn't grow out of his shadow. He wasn't exactly protecting me anymore, but instead I was using him as a social crutch. Me and my brother are very close in age. We are 18 months apart, but are only separated by one grade level. This allowed for many of his friends to become my friends as well, which wouldn't have been a bad thing if I wasn't hiding in his shadow. This didn't allow for those on the outside to see me as an individual. I was Eris's little brother instead of being just Amari. While being a little brother is a big part of my identity, it's not everything I am. But for a long time, I didn't fight to make that clear. So I was just seen as a little brother, or at least that's what I thought. It wasn't until recently I started to realize I need to separate myself from being in his shadow. And that's why I have to change my story. I must stand on my own and show who I am individually. I must move away from feeling like all my experiences are tied to him and instead show who I am by talking about my individual experiences. At first, this did not come easy to me. I know I had to get away from speaking on my brother, but I struggled to find myself in my own experiences. To be honest, I don't think it was a struggle at all, but rather a deliberate point to hide who I am. Instead of looking deep within myself to present something that represents me and my journey, I crafted a generic story about who I am. I feel I am very intelligent in many different ways, which isn't always a good thing because I used it to craft another shadow for me to hide in. This time using my dyslexia as a shield. While dyslexia is another big part of my identity, I didn't show how it truly made me who I am today, and instead was telling a generic story, one that every person with dyslexia will go through. Of course, I struggled with school, and that truly hurt my confidence in many areas in life. But I didn't explain how dyslexia made me into the person I am today, or how it has played a big part in my success. I can't continue hiding. I have been hiding most of my life, not always on purpose, but since I rarely showed who I am, it was easier for me to continue hiding. Now I can clearly see the problem. By hiding, I not only deny those close to me and look into who I am, which has hurt many of my relationships, but I also get in the way of my own success in life. When I was hiding, I was denying myself the time to uncover what I truly wanted in my own life, which wouldn't give me the chance to go after it. Instead of achieving what I thought of as success, I often looked to what others did or thought was success for me, prescribing their opinions as my own, which allowed for me to continue hiding from who I really am and what I truly wanted. By doing this, I was dishonoring myself, dishonoring what I truly wanted and saw for my own future. Dishonoring myself made it nearly impossible for me to be happy with the decisions I had made. I felt unhappy with school or the things I chose to do in my free time because I often felt I was letting down those around me that wanted to support me. But in all actuality, I was only letting myself down. At the start of college, I chose to go down a path of teacher education, not because that's what I wanted, but because others felt it was the best choice for me. Choosing that took me on a downward spiral of looking at what others thought I should do in that space and never actually looking at what I wanted to do. I felt I wanted to help people, but by looking at what others thought I should do, I couldn't help anyone. I was stuck, standing idle between what I thought I wanted and what I actually wanted. By never attempting to discover what I wanted in life and then going after it, it led me to feel unsure about my future and unsatisfied with my life. It was like I was never achieving anything I wanted, and truly I wasn't, because it wasn't what I saw as the right path. Now in my life, I realize I can't let other opinions shape my journey, especially if I want to create the change I want to see. I must honor myself and my own desires. Others cannot tell me how I should go about creating what I want in my life. To truly create the things I want, I must look inside of myself at the experiences I have had to then discover how I should move forward. Now I feel more confident in myself and the decisions I make because they are my own, not influenced by the opinions of others. While education was the right choice for me, it wasn't until recently I realized that for myself. And now I can truly make a difference in the education system. I see the traditional education path is not for me. And if I continue to go down that path, I will condemn so many students to the same struggles I faced. The education system boxes me in and doesn't allow for me to create what I want. Instead, I must be unconventional and show that students can create their own path. I must go out on my own and find a new way to go about it instead of the one that has been laid out for me. By doing this, I will not only be an example to others, showing they can look within themselves to find the right path, but I also can use my experiences to create a space for students to discover who they really are and what they truly want. By discovering this within myself, I see that everyone has the same capacity to do it too, and I want to be the one to bring it out in them. I truly feel like that is the key to being happy in one's life, not letting others control the path you're on. So many people are like me. They let the opinions and beliefs of other people control how they make decisions in their own life, which leads to a feeling of being unsatisfied and unhappy. While no one's journey is exactly like mine, if they learn from my experiences and look inside themselves at their own experiences, they will discover what they truly want with their life and be better off because of it.